The holidays are supposed to be a time of friendship and families and love, but every year it's always torture. My brother and I just don't seem to get along. It was Thanksgiving, and I had to go to my brother's yet again because he wouldn't drive down to my house. I got to his house and tried to make the best of it, bringing him some pies that I had made, and he had his. We tried to get along, but we never have, and never will. We sat down, like a typical Thanksgiving meal, and tried to enjoy ourselves with the food and company of each other. He said he had to use the restroom, and I excused him. I went over to the fridge to maybe get something to drink, and when I opened it, there were bags of meat. All in the fridge. Meat that I've never seen before. It wasn't anything from a grocery store. It didn't have tags or prices on it. It wasn't neatly bound. Just clumps of meat. It was very strange. I closed the fridge and sat back down, confused. He came back a little while later and pointed to a door near his bedroom. He told me, please don't go in that room. I have your Christmas gifts already. I'm an early shopper. I found this strange. My brother seldom had Christmas gifts, and when he did, they were last-minute gift cards and novelty items. This was very weird, especially for him. He yet again had to excuse himself to the washroom, which was odd. But I excused him and made my way over to that room. I had to see what was inside. I slowly opened it, making sure he wasn't around. And when I opened it, on the bed, there was my brother. Or at least it looked like my brother. But he was all tied up and not moving. Suddenly, I heard the toilet flush, and I slammed the door, turning around and seeing what looked like my brother yet again. He said, "You didn't peek now, did you?" And I shook my head no. I sat back down with him and we continued our meal. I looked up at him and asked, "Do you know my name?" We stared at each other for about 20 seconds, I swear. Till finally, he asked if he could use the washroom one more time, to which I said, no. Finally, he stood up and ran outside of the home. I watched as my car pulled away out of the driveway, and I never did see it again. This was the strangest Thanksgiving I've ever experienced. It was Black Friday. At least that's what the police told me. It must have been. That's when she went out with her friends. My daughter, I mean. I'm a 44-year-old parent of my 16-year-old daughter, who, for Black Friday, decided to go with her friends to the mall around midnight. That's when all of the young kids seem to go out on Black Friday, of course. But she never came home. She didn't text us. We tried calling. Nothing. Not one of her friends that she went with were ever found. The police said he was the Black Friday killer. He would set up a small booth at malls and tell kids that he had exciting deals just waiting outside. I guess it works. Wherever he is, he has those kids. Wherever he may be. He's done it before, and he's going to do it again. Be careful on Black Friday. You never know if some deals are worth dying for. Ah, Christmas. Such a magical time of year, a time of fun and friends and family, lights. So that's why when my dog ran away, it really bummed me out. I've only had Rufus for a few years, and in that time we really had a close bond, which is why his disappearance hurt me so much. Every night in December, I would stand outside by the woods near my house and shake dog treats, just hoping that he might return by Christmas Eve. He never did. Christmas morning came, and I thought maybe opening gifts would take my mind off of my now lost dog. I unwrapped the first gift. It had a nice bow on top, and my parents seemed a bit off when I was opening it, as if they were unfamiliar with the gift. After opening it, I soon realized why. It was my dog, Rufus. He was in the box, dead. There was a note inside of the box underneath him as well, that the police showed us after they took Rufus away. It said, "See you next year." It's Christmas Eve now, and I'm standing out by the woods once again, waiting, watching, for whatever it was, whoever it was, to make their presence known again. Do you know that feeling you get when it's Christmas Eve and you just can't fall asleep? Yeah, I get that every year, and this year was no exception. My sister and I planned to get up at 1 a.m. and go downstairs to look at all of the great presents Santa had brought us, or, if we were lucky, get a glimpse at the magical Santa Claus. 1 a.m. rolled around, and I was up and ready to go, but my sister was still asleep in her room. I decided it would be good to let her sleep, since she was young. So I tiptoed downstairs and noticed that there were no presents under the tree. Perfect. I could get a great glimpse at Santa Claus. I decided to hide underneath the staircase, cracking the door open slightly so I could get a glimpse at the fireplace, the Christmas tree, and hopefully, Santa. I waited for about 20 minutes until I heard faint sounds of bells chiming above the roof of my house. It was so exciting. I then heard a large thud on the roof, followed by hooves scattering across the top of our home. Must have been the reindeer. Then I heard something sliding down the chimney. I was so excited. I almost wanted to go over to the chimney and look up, but I couldn't, or else my cover would have been blown. I waited and didn't hear anything until all of a sudden, 2 large feet hit the ground with a thud, snapping the logs for the fire. But they weren't feet. They weren't those black boots that I imagined. They were hooves, like that of a deer or of a goat. And they had black fur running up the legs of whatever it was standing in the middle of our home. It then began to come out from the fireplace, and I slowly shut the door, confused and scared. I opened the door again, and what I saw was disturbing. It was some sort of goat standing on its hind legs. It must have been 8 feet tall, and it had a big sack of some sort on its back, made out of sticks. It was holding some sticks too, and it walked around sniffing my Christmas tree and the stockings by the fireplace, looking at family photos of our happy family. Without it noticing, I was able to tiptoe up the stairs, and when I finally reached the top step, I made a mad dash for my room, where I jumped under the covers and pretended to be asleep. I then heard thuds coming up the stairs of whatever the giant beast was. When it reached the top step, I saw its shadow against the wall. It walked towards my door, and when it reached it, it walked by, which was confusing. But then I heard the door to my sister's room slowly creak open, as if whatever it was didn't want to be detected. Suddenly, I heard the muffled screams of my sister, though it sounded like there was a hand or something covering her mouth. And finally, I heard whatever it was laugh. It was the most sinister laugh I'd ever heard, almost like an animal cackling. I heard its hooves walk back down the stairs and scratching going up the chimney. That was the last time that I had ever seen my little sister. The next morning, after the police came and investigated, they made no conclusion as to who or what took her. I don't want to know what that thing was, but sometimes I wish that I had woken her up. Maybe we could have put up a fight, but seeing how large that thing was, I don't think we would have done much good at all. It was the best year of my life. I guess that's why I didn't want it to end. New Year's is always a bittersweet moment. Getting ready for the future, but also reflecting on the past. And that year, I wasn't ready for the future. The year was so terrific. Hanging out with friends and family and enjoying the holidays. I just didn't want it to end. So that New Year, that evening, before the New Year, I made a wish that this year would never end. And it hasn't. I've lived the same year 1,412 times, and it won't stop. I don't age, nothing changes, and everyone acts like it's all brand new. It's like Groundhog Day on loop, except no one believes me. A few times, I've even wound up in an insane asylum. It doesn't help. It just resets every New Year's. I've tried to make many other wishes to change my previous wish, and it's come to no avail. So, Happy New Year, although I'll be saying it again rather soon.